Pickleball Show, Episode 2, original air date 2/2/15.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
From Bainbridge Island to the Villages,
Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in America.
Buckeye to Abbotsford,
Time out, baby, yeah! Woo!
St. George to Rochester, and all points in between.
If you've heard of pickleball or you already play it, then you know.
This is the Pickleball Show.
This is Coach Mo from PickleballCoach.com, and here's the host of the Pickleball Show, Chris Allen.
Thank you, Coach Mo, and welcome to the show dedicated to helping you play better pickleball, winning pickleball, while having even more fun and meeting new friends who share your passion for this great game. I'm your host, Chris Allen. We've got a fun show coming up for you today. We're going to talk with author and pickleball player Gale Leach, who wrote the book The Art of Pickleball. Great book. I got it when I first started out, and I really learned a lot from that book. So we'll talk to Gale in just a minute. Before that, I have to thank you, though. We released our first episode just a few days ago, and boy, you guys really, really stepped up. I am happy to announce that the Pickleball Show was the #1 podcast in iTunes in the amateur sports and recreation category when we released it. And that is all due to you. I was blown away by the tremendous outpouring of support that I received from everybody across the country and even in other countries as well. You guys really, really made it happen. And this isn't an ego thing. I'm not happy because for myself. I'm happy for pickleball because the more people find out about this sport, I mean, say it jumps up, it's on the top of iTunes and somebody sees it and goes, pickleball, what's that? They do a Google search and they see some videos, and before you know it, they're going to be hooked just like we are. So we're helping to grow this sport, and I couldn't be happier or more proud. Thank you again so much. A special tip of the hat to Carol Amos. Carol was the first person to go over to iTunes and leave us one of those coveted 5-star reviews, which helps boost us up in the rankings. So thank you, Carol, and got great comments too on the website pickleballshow.com. One of my favorites is from George Catalano here. George says, "Fantastic. Couldn't believe my favorite game has its own sports show now. I don't have to listen to ESPN talk about deflated footballs anymore." I'm 72 years young, live in Jacksonville, Florida, play pickleball 7 to 8 times a week. Man, way to go, George. And good to hear from you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who showed their support. You guys really, really made it happen. And keep it coming, too. Give us a call anytime. You can call us on our telephone. It's toll-free, and it's waiting for you. You got a question, comment, whatever you like. We do want to hear from you. It's 855-PB-SHOW. That's 1-855-PB-SHOW. Email us to mail@pickleballshow.com. All right, coming up next, we'll talk with Gale Leach. Stay right here.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
And we're back with the Pickleball Show and your host, Chris Allen. I've been looking forward to talking to this lady for a while. I ordered her book originally when I first started playing. Really learned a lot from it. You'll find it on Amazon.com. It's the yellow book that pops up all the time. When you type in the word pickleball, you'll see it there. It's called The Art of Pickleball. And you can find the author at GaleLeach.com. She's got a great blog there, and her name is Gale Leach. Gale, thank you for joining us today here on the Pickleball Show.
Thanks so much for asking me. It's my pleasure.
Now, The Art of Pickleball is in its 4th edition. When did the first edition come out?
I believe it was 2005 or 6. I think it was 2006.
And you've feel the need every couple of years or so maybe to revise it and update it?
Truly, it was the evolution of the game and new techniques that came into play. The rules, of course, being included in the book necessitated updates, but I always wanted to try and talk to the players and continually ask, what are you doing now that you didn't do before? And those are the techniques that would be added each time we had an update.
You gave a really good piece of advice in the beginning of the book. You say, don't just buy the book, read it one time, and then put it on your shelf and think, all right, I've read that one, I'm done. Go back 3 months from now, because as you evolve as a player, things are going to mean something different. And it couldn't have been truer advice.
I've heard this from other people too. I used to write technical manuals for years before I started playing pickleball. And so I had already in mind to say something of the sort, because it is true. When you're going for troubleshooting one particular thing, you'll go look that up, and then you'll see, oh, wait a minute, there's this other thing that I didn't know before. Even though you read it, it doesn't always stick. Until you're ready for it.
The book is the same copy that you had 3 months ago, but you're a different player. Flags are going to come up and bells are going to go off that didn't the first time around. So great advice right from the top there. One of my favorite chapters is on being a better partner. Everybody's so focused on, hitting the winners and getting that perfect shot. But being a better partner is something that I really, need to be more diligent with.
It's wonderful when you can play with the same person for a long time, and that doesn't happen for everyone unless you're involved in tournaments and preparing for months before that. But with the rest of us, if you're just going out for drop-in or you meet new people at the court each time, and you can't always play with the same folks, it is really important, because it's not just you out there. You need to be a team. It is important to sit down and communicate ahead of time, at least even in a minor way, so that you have some rapport and can decide, okay, who's going to take the middle this time, and find out if they're left or right-handed, all those things. So it's tremendously important to make a good game of it.
Now, the book came out in 2006, the original edition, now in its 4th edition. When did you first discover pickleball?
In 2004. We moved to Arizona from California, and I had never heard of pickleball. And we moved to Sun City Grand, which is an active adult community. And pickleball was huge here. A couple of people had come down from the Seattle area and brought the sport and converted a tennis court with tape and so on, until finally court conversion happened some years later. But they just developed an enormous following almost immediately. And I went out to see what this sport with a silly name was all about. And I don't even think it took me 2 days. I was hooked. That was it. Yeah. And I had played tennis as a young person, and maybe a couple of games of racquetball, which I loved along the way. But I really wasn't a huge racket sports player. But when it came to pickleball, that was it.
I can totally relate. Now, having written what some would say is the definitive guide to pickleball, that's got to probably paint a pretty big target on your back when you go out to play. People think, oh, this lady wrote the book on it, huh? She's going to have to write an extra chapter on me when I get done with her.
That's particularly difficult right now. I was sidelined from the sport for a number of years because I actually couldn't go out in the sun. And almost all of our play here is outdoor in Arizona. We don't have many indoor courts, and short of going out early in the morning or late at night, I really couldn't play, and I had to stop and couldn't take part in tournaments anymore because of the length of time in the daytime always, and so on. Well, anyway, we also left that community, and while there is pickleball here in the city around it, I just finally dropped out for a while. It just didn't seem to be working out, and that went on for, 5 years, where I was only playing intermittently. So just recently, I've been starting to feel much better. I think this whole thing is under control, so I'm back on the courts. But it's embarrassing. People will see my name and say, oh, I know who you are. And then I'm not playing as well as I used to. So anyway, I'll deal with that. Yeah. I'm reading my own book.
Right, there's so many, like you said, so much good advice in there from experts and legendary players. Sue Gardner's one of them. And talking about grips, she pointed out that she believes that changing your grip reduces the risk of repetitive motion injury, like a carpal tunnel. And I never thought of that before. Are you a Continental Grip person, or do you change it up some?
I do change it up. For the most part, I would say Continental Grip is still what I use. I do change it up. Backhand is different depending. And I've found recently that it depends where you're contacting the ball. If you're contacting down low, it's going to be a slightly different grip than if you are contacting a high ball. I've also found that it changes with the paddle that I use. And I'm not sure what to make of that. It's something actually I would like to ask some other people what they're doing. This sport is still, even now celebrating 25 years, it is still so new. that it's something that we need to keep asking questions and coming up with what the norms are and trying to put that information out there for people to be able to use.
It's amazing how many of the rules have stood the test of time and how balanced the game was before it caught on. It seems like it really hasn't had to have that many revisions.
Most of the revisions have been very tiny, as you say. I think it's a testament to the sport and why it is so popular, too, that it is something that just seems to make a lot of sense the way it was conceived at the outset.
Now, let's say if they anointed you queen of the pickleball nation, are there any refinements or rules that you would just dictate? Starting today, this is a little change that I'm going to make.
Never had to think about that.
I don't have any big ones. I'll tell you mine though while you think about if there's one for you.
I probably have one. Go ahead.
The only change I would make is that when you're playing and you're down to just the last 4 people, playing that day, and one person says, "All right, I can play one more game and that's it," then that game automatically is a 21-point game. That's it. That's the only one I would make, just to keep them on the court longer and so we can play just a little bit more. Just because I'm usually the guy going, all right, let's play one more. All right, we'll play to 7. I'm always negotiating with just 7 points, or we'll do this, do that, just to keep them there. There's a club, I think I saw it on a blog somewhere. I think they're up in Michigan, and the name of the pickleball club is the One More Game Pickleball Club. And I thought that's a great name because that's me. I'm always on there. Come on, one more game. But what would yours be?
We were talking about that the other day. We were out there and we had gone through probably 4 or 5 games, and one of the players on the foursome was getting tired and doing the exact same thing. And then we did find another person to come in and sub, and we played another game. And then at the end, we're all sitting there saying, "Oh, I am so sore. I am so tired. Why did I do that?" Yeah. But it is what you do. It's so addictive.
Yeah, and that was one of the keys originally when I knew, all right, this is it. This is the game for me. When I just did not want to leave. It's like when you catch yourself thinking, well, I'd rather lose a 12-10 game than win an 11-0 game because at least I got to play twice as many points.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the other people you quote in a few different pages in the book, Pat Kane, and one of the things he has is that inverted ready position at the net.
Oh, I love that. I just love that.
Yeah, and when I first read that, I thought, boy, that's going to feel really weird. Kind of like, have you ever done the thing where they tell you to clasp your hands together, interlock your fingers?
Yes.
And then you do it the natural way, and then they say, all right, now put the other finger on top, and it just feels so bizarre. And I thought, well, that's going to be one of those cases. But when I went out and tried it, and for what we're talking about here is the normal ready position when you're up at the kitchen line. Normally, you can see kind of the back of your hand when you've got the paddle face going flat. And but his position, you can just see the fingertips. He flips the paddle 180, and I thought that's gonna be totally bizarre feeling. But when I tried it, it wasn't that uncomfortable at all. And I've actually gone to it on a couple of occasions, and it's worked out really well.
I like it better now than any other way to play with the ready position there. I just find it works beautifully for me. But there again, everybody's different. And I couldn't have imagined when I started the research for this book that I would get so many different opinions about what I thought were relatively simple things, how to hold the paddle. Everything. It's so many different ways. What we don't have yet for this sport, and it will come, I have great visions of the future for pickleball. And when it is an Olympic sport, we will also have clinics where people are actually doing research, scientific research, to see which things do help to promote carpal tunnel, which things you should avoid, how to do this stuff scientifically. Looking forward to that, I think, because right now, it's a lot of guesswork, and we're taking and borrowing from other sports where the research has been done, but it isn't quite the same. And curiously, recently, I was looking at the size of the grip on different paddles. I'm looking to buy a new one. And the so-called research that I found has, you put your hand around it and you measure the length from one finger to the thumb and so on, and you determine the grip that way. But for me, for example, and several other players I've talked to recently, those numbers don't work. And our preference is for something quite different. Well, I don't know which would be best physiologically And this is what I'd like to know more about. So I'm hoping at some point people will actually start doing kinetic studies and so on and be able to publish that research.
That would be very interesting. We're talking with Gale Leach, author of The Art of Pickleball. And Gale, what kind of stretching or warm-up routine do you commonly use?
This is going to sound funny. I always did, standard stretching, making sure the hamstrings and all the normal stretches you would do for just about any sport. I've found that simply warming up your muscles is often enough. You don't need to go through rigorous stretching, at least for me. And I have to put a disclaimer in here because, as I did in the book, because again, you're telling people how to take care of their bodies, and everybody's body is different. But for me, a moderate amount of stretching seems to be all that's necessary to prevent injury, at least for me. But recently, I started taking yoga, and I posted a blog post about this on my website not too long ago. And I'm finding that yoga stretching is as good or better than the stretching I was doing before. So I tend to do that now before I'm going to go out and play. But for me, it's a good way to get the muscles warm, and I can do just a quick stretch on the court, and I'm good to go.
One of the reasons that I'm glad I got the Kindle edition of your book, The Art of Pickleball, is because it's nice to have it on my iPhone all the time, which I have with me, and I can mark not only search for certain terms, but I can mark certain pages as well. And one of the ones that I've had marked and I've brought up several times for different people is the illustration that you have on the in-out rule, or when why is a ball considered out? And it's a little bit different than in tennis because of the compression of the ball and that kind of thing. And not that I'm the big rule stickler or anything, but a lot of people have brought it up and say why is it different? Because I've heard it's different, and I can show them that illustration, and it makes perfect sense to them after that.
That is something that is difficult for a lot of people to understand until they see that picture, and it really has worked very well. It's still a hard thing to call, and that's why I really appreciate having other eyes on the court when we're playing, but it's the way it should be. So if you can manage to see the ball while you're going to hit it, or if your partner can, and that's the other thing. I always try to look when my partner's going for a ball. I always try to keep my eyes on that ball and on my partner when he or she is getting ready to hit, and so on, because otherwise you really do need to be able to call those shots.
Yep, and that is, like we were talking about before, that's one of the things that helps make you a better partner, so that's good advice there. Some people might say you're kind of the Emily Post of pickleball. You with all the rules and the definitive guide and everything. And there's also some etiquette to the game as well. Any pet peeves, either on or off the court, that other players do that get under your skin a little bit?
Well, it's the one, I suppose, that causes the most grief, and the one I hear the most about from readers who do write to me is about the serve. Men especially, and I won't say it's only men, but especially men do not like the underhand serve, and in some cases simply refuse to use it and continue with a sidearm serve. And it's so difficult. That one rule is the cause of so much controversy, being able to judge, is it waist high? Is it coming from underhand? And so on. It's a tough call, especially for tournaments. I don't envy those who are out there trying to make that call out there. But I've heard the most about that. So I don't know, if I were queen of the pickleball court, I would probably say, trying to work up something about the underhand serve and write it differently. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how I would be able to do it exactly, but that's the one that causes grief. So
I noticed in watching the videos from this year's Nationals, there were a couple of players that I thought, boy, they are really, really close to the line on that one.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
I like to sidearm serve. You get so much more power out of it, and I like it, but I don't do it that way anymore. I don't know. Maybe there would be an alternative rule where sidearm serving would be allowed in certain circumstances. That's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, and it might throw off the balance we were talking about earlier, though, because there are some people, I mean, they're wicked with underhand, and I can't imagine if you unleashed them, if they were able to go sidearm, it'd be, it would turn into, I remember, tennis, I guess in the 80s when Becker came on the scene and the rest of them, when it just became this slugfest of serves, it didn't do tennis any favors because it became less fun to watch, especially men's tennis, when it just became these, they're just shooting howitzers at each other.
It's true.
All day.
Yeah, the finesse isn't there in that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think even John McEnroe was a proponent of going back to wood rackets. Just for that, just to deaden the serve a little bit and have longer volleys and get back to the way it was in the heyday.
Well, as a corollary, thinking about the paddle developments in the last few years, too, in pickleball, again, we need the USAPA does studies of the paddles before they're allowed to be used in tournaments. But so many different materials are coming up all the time, and people are trying things all over the place in order to achieve more pop or to be able to hit more easily and so on. So I imagine that, like all the sports before it, it will have advances as time goes by, and rules may have to change because of that, too.
We're talking with Gale Leach, author of The Art of Pickleball, now in its 4th edition, available at Amazon.com and better bookstores everywhere. Any plans for edition number 5 coming up soon, or are you going to wait a little bit?
Not coming up immediately. Unfortunately, I'm writing other books as well, and I need to get some of the writing out of the way. But yes, edition 5 is in the works. I do have notes and other things that are in process, and I'm hoping to interview some of the other players who are out there taking the world by storm. So probably it's going to be a 2016 release, unless I can do things a lot more quickly than I think.
Well, good, because I hate buying one and then, 2 months later, a new version comes out, and then you have to upgrade, just like software.
Right.
Now, what are these other books that you're writing, Gale?
I write fiction now as well. I didn't intend to start writing books for children, but that's what I ended up doing because the story that popped into my head was too good to let go of. The first set of 4 that I have finished are for children roughly 8 to 12, younger if you read to them. Kind of like a little bit older version of Charlotte's Web, perhaps, and it is about bugs and other animals and great adventure stories where a caterpillar is the hero. The new one is later. I'm working on a young adult series now, and so there's just lots of things in the work. I can't seem to stay away from the writing.
Well, sounds good. Well, good luck with that. And thank you so much for being my hero, like I said, and bailing me out of so many points that I otherwise would have embarrassed myself on. And your book was just such great advice. So, Gale, thank you so much for your work, and I hope to see you out on the court someday.
Thank you, Chris. I'd love to meet you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
And you can get Gale's book, The Art of Pickleball, at Amazon.com and better bookstores everywhere. Even some of the not-so-good bookstores, I think, would have it. Oh, what a nice lady. And, boy, she knows her stuff. And what a pro, too. Did you catch that one part when she was talking about doing research for the upcoming edition, the 5th edition of the book that'll come out in a couple of years, wanting to talk to the top players, the ones that are setting the pickleball world on fire? Did you notice how she just let it just kind of hang out there? She didn't push. She didn't, just come right out and ask. But Gale, I know you're still listening. The answer is, I would be honored to sit down with you and reveal some of my secrets. There really are 3 areas I feel like that I've mastered. I'm not a 5.0 across the board, but in 3 particular areas, I feel like I have achieved 5.0 status. I'll let you know what they are when we come back. It's the Pickleball Show.
When shopping for car insurance, consider this. Geico has been saving people money on car insurance for over 75 years. So if you're serious about savings, it's simple. Go to geico.com. After 75 years, they know how to save you money.
You're back with Chris Allen on the Pickleball Show. We just spoke with Gale Leach, and I went ahead and put it out there. Yes, there are 3 areas that I feel like I am already, even at this stage, a 5.0 player. And, I think it was it Coach Bear Bryant who said it ain't bragging if you can do it. So, it's not bragging. I have perfected these areas, these particular ones. Again, I'm not a 5.0 across the board, but in these areas, I am a 5.0. Let me give you the first one here. Number 1 is how to constantly confound and frustrate your partner by lunging toward balls you have no intention of hitting. I'm a master at this. I can do this so well. And it really, part of it's a timing thing. You got to wait till, your partner is just about to commit to go ahead and hit the ball. And then you make a sudden move, you flick your paddle over there like you're going to take it just enough to back them off. And then the ball can, gently bounce and roll out of bounds. And then you can look at each other. I don't think there's a player in the world that is better than this. You talk about somebody like Tim Nelson, great player. They call him the puppet master. We all know why. It's because, Tim, you can have your opponent dancing around like you've got him on a string. I get it. But you know what, Tim? I'm the puppet master when it comes to my partner. It really is a thing of beauty when it's done right. And, I feel like I'm doing it right. Number 2 is the proper way to hit balls that are obviously going out. I've mastered this one. I am a 5.0. Again, it comes down to a timing thing. The ball is about to go out. The point is going to be yours. And the trick is to not hit the ball right when your partner is yelling no. You want to delay it just a split second. You want the echoes of the no to be just kind of wafting in the air, and then you hit it. That's really the key. Because if it's like, no, and you hit it right away, it's not nearly as effective as when it's no, and then you hit it. Nobody's better at this. You look at somebody like Jennifer LaCour. I mean, Jennifer, you're a great champion. But in this one area, bring it. Bring it all day long. Now, the third area that I'm a total 5.0 in, and again, I don't think it's bragging here, how to tweak and fiddle with your serve until half the balls go in the net and the other half go long over the baseline. I'm really a pro at this one. The key is to never lock in your serve. You don't want to get into a routine or anything where the serve is consistently going in. What you want to do when you get to that point, you just keep tweaking it, keep fiddling with it, keep messing with it until pretty soon, you don't even recognize what you're doing anymore, and you couldn't even get back to that point where they were consistently going in. You couldn't get back there if your life depended on it. So you want to just keep messing around with it and tweaking it until it's just a mess. I'm the best at that. You look at somebody like Brian Staub. Yeah, you know what? You're a deadly combination of power and precision. But in this area, anytime, anywhere, my friend. Anytime, anywhere. Just saying. All right, there you go. Those are the spots that I can't be beat at. Those are my strengths. All right, my thanks once again to Gale Leach, and her book, The Art of Pickleball, is available on Amazon.com. Thanks to you also once again for making the Pickleball Show the #1 podcast in iTunes in the amateur sports and recreation category. You guys really stepped up. I'm not surprised. If you haven't yet, go over to iTunes, hit that subscribe button, and if you feel it's appropriate, leave us a 5-star review. That boosts us up in the rankings, makes it easier for other pickleball players around the world to find the show, and helps raise awareness for this great game that we all love. Join us next week. We're going to have a new guest, and somebody else I'd like to hear from next week is you. How about giving us a call anytime? It's 1-855-PB-SHOW. That's 1-855-PB-SHOW. I'm Chris Allen. This is the Pickleball Show. And until next week, keep 'em low.